to this week's training roundtable. Let's take a moment for some extra breath today. I know that I could definitely use it. So I invite you again to place a hand on your heart. And together we take a breath in and let it out. And with this intentional breath, we remind ourselves to change a thought pattern, change a breath pattern. So together again, breath in and let it out. And we also remind ourselves that by simply placing your hand on your heart gives you access to immediately calming of the nervous system. And from here, I invite you to bring your second hand to the heart and then slide both hands to your shoulders. And then just begin to tap left and right and right and left and left and right and right and left. Continuing for just this moment of a butterfly hug, which we remind ourselves today is bilateral stimulation to support the processing of trauma, allowing ease through butterfly hug, and then again, sliding hands to heart and together again, breath in and let it out. These simple yet very impactful movements to support ourselves as HSPs in business and leadership to truly remain strong and steady in spite of what is happening around us, in spite of what has happened before for us, and despite what might be coming in the future for us. Change a thought pattern, change a breath pattern. Together again, breath in and let it out. Beautiful. And thank you. Allowing hands to just easily float down from heart and beginning to avail yourself to focus, to connection, and the opportunity for evolution and advancement of yourself as an HSP in business and leadership. Specifically today, through the topic of making genuine connections with assumption of positive intent. Again, making genuine connections with assumption of positive intent. An expansion on last week's training roundtable. We'll begin by just connecting in and reminding ourselves of the definition as shared during last week's training, according to executivecoachingnetwork.com. Assuming positive intent means acting under the assumption that the person with whom you are meeting is trustworthy, that they share your desire for the best possible outcome. Assumption of positive intent gives you access to act as if the other person is going to behave in an effective and positive way. Also, a reminder from last week's training roundtable, assumption of positive intent is the opposite of our HSP shadow of judgment of others, the opposite of the shadow of self-judgment and criticism, and diminishes the default into coping mechanisms, pushing, hiding, and combo plattering. Also a reminder that assumption of positive intent can be accessed through 5 steps. Step 1, look for the good. You can do this by noticing kind gestures and interpreting ambiguous actions positively versus negatively. Step 2, give others grace. Remember that everyone makes mistakes and extend the same courtesy to others. And step 3, question your gut reaction. When frustrated, specifically pause, write down your initial reaction. Perhaps turn to inquiry. Breathe before you act. Step 4, take a breath before approaching someone that you're frustrated. Reminder again, change a thought pattern, change a breath pattern. And finally, practice compassionate directness. Communicate with your HSP's strength of empathy, all to access a deeper understanding. These 5 steps afford us the opportunity to access assumption of positive intent rather than defaulting to HSP shadows, coping mechanisms, and the HSP trait tendency to absorb the energy of others. Also, a reminder to use the forum to support you with practicing assumption of positive intent, whether that be through engaging in the BTT, Belief Transformation Tool practice, utilizing your 4Q intuitive plan, or simply showing up with an ask. So how does assumption of positive intent then apply to making genuine connections? So first of all, what assumption of positive intent is not? What assumption of positive intent is not? And let's write these down. Assumption of positive intent is not subjugating your needs or people pleasing. Assumption of positive intent is not avoiding conflict. An assumption of positive intent is not sympathy over empathy. What assumption of positive intent is, and let's write these down as well. What assumption of positive intent is permission to own your HSP values and your needs, to speak confidently from your HSP values and needs, and to use your HSP strength of empathy to access both and, particularly both my needs and your needs. Breath in and let it out. How it applies to making genuine connections: business, networking, leadership, team communications, friends, family, difficult conversations. A genuine connection is more than just exchanging pleasantries or talking about the weather. A genuine connection is an exchange of ideas, emotions, and stories that create a bond between two people. And I'm going to say that again. Genuine connection is an exchange of ideas, emotions, and stories that create a bond between two people. Building such a connection requires mutual trust and understanding, as well as vulnerability on both sides. When you build a genuine connection with someone, it can be transformative for both parties involved. And let me say that again. When you build a genuine connection with someone, it can be transformative for both parties involved. Not only does it create a deeper level of understanding, it also allows us to grow and learn more about ourselves through learning more about others. Breath in and let it out. Assumption of positive intent gives you access to your HSP strengths that allows you to form genuine connections by following 3 keys. Key number 1, ask open-ended questions using your HSP strength of deep thinking. 2, share personal stories using your HSP strength of being excellent with language. 3, give genuine compliments using your HSP strength of empathy. Again, key 1, ask open-ended questions. Key 2, share personal stories. Key 3, give genuine compliments. So now take a moment, place your hand on your heart, maybe close your eyes, and bring to mind, go the first thing that drops in for you. A situation in your business, maybe marketing, networking, a situation in your leadership, maybe team communications, a situation with friends and family, a difficult conversation that needs to be had. Dial in, connect in with the first thing that drops in for you: business, leadership, friends and family. And now mentally begin to apply the 3 keys. What would it be like to ask open-ended questions? What would it be like to share a personal story? And what would it be like to give a genuine compliment? How might that change the energy? Marketing, networking, team communications, difficult conversations. The untrained HSP waits for others to take the lead. An untrained HSP takes their ability to intuit and be empathetic to match their energy to someone else. A trained HSP, an HSP leader, takes the lead, uses their HSP strengths to make genuine connections rather than defaulting to chameleon yourself to someone else, to chameleon yourself to mimic someone else's marketing, to wait for someone else in networking to make the first move, to absorb difficulties through team communications or personal difficult conversations, and then go elsewhere to process for hours and hours, days and days. The HSP leader asks open-ended questions, shares a personal story, gives a genuine compliment, sets the energy, sets the stage, takes the lead, does it differently. Breath in and let it out. If you haven't already, take a moment to write down the business, leadership, or friends, family situation that came to mind to you. We're going to want to use this as we shift into roundtables for today. But first, a program success tip for the week. Calling on team, Coach Nicole, what do you have for us?
Thank you so much, Heather. I really wanted to just call our attention to something that Heather spoke to very briefly towards the beginning of this training. And that is how using assumption of positive intent keeps us from defaulting into our coping mechanisms. And I want to bring us back to an oldie but a goodie, one of our orientation trainings, which is How Coping Keeps You Captive. That is ORNT 1110, and you will actually see that linked in your chat for our visual friends. And as an orientation training, everyone has this as part of your highly sensitive leadership training program, regardless of program level, regardless of your current leadership track. And in fact, for some of our newest members, this is where you're going to be moving into next in your kickoff call process and experience. So that is coming up for you to look forward to. And as Heather mentioned, just staying out of our coping mechanisms, knowing our coping mechanisms, being able to stay out of them, supports us in being able to use assumption of positive intent, which allows us to move more easily through life and more easily make genuine connections. And this also connects into the belief transformation tool that some of us have been working with these last few weeks in the second half of August with Coach Lorna. And using this belief transformation tool, again, will support us with staying out of that default of coping and being able to move more easily access that assumption of positive intent. As always, you will have, if you're working with one of those BTTs, just keep in mind in the back of your mind that you will want to be bringing that with you to our next weekly training roundtable next week and have it handy with you in the future. And now, as always, the training is a suggestion. It is not an obligation. And it is up to you to use your highly sensitive strengths to discern if this is something that would be helpful for you or a distraction for you at this time. So with that, I will hand it back to you, Heather. Thank you so much.
Beautiful. Such a valuable program success tip for the week. Thank you so much, Coach Nicole. Awesome. With this, let's move into our roundtables for today to discuss further how to use assumption of positive intent to make genuine connections, whether in business, leadership, or life. With that, I'm going to have the team move us into roundtables for the next 25 minutes. Team, when ready. All right, beautiful. I think we're set. Welcome to this week's roundtable. Again, let's take a moment, place hand on heart, and together let's take in a breath and let it out. Keeping hand on heart, take a moment to close your eyes, bringing back into both heart and mind that business, leadership, or life situation that was shown to you as part of initially connecting in to those three keys. As you bring that situation once again into heart and mind, take a moment to ask, where could I use support? And how to really effectively show up as an HSP leader, taking the lead to make a genuine connection rather than waiting to follow someone else's energy, someone else's intent. Get clear on that ask, drop chin to chest, eyes gently come on open, and write that ask down. When ready, raise your digital hand to bring that ask forward. I particularly invite those of our more quiet or even new members who have not yet stepped forward or have not stepped forward for a while with an ask. Business, leadership, friends, family, genuine connections, assumption of positive intent. Where could you use support? Raise your digital hand and let's get ready to dive in. We are going to share intros for today's roundtable. So if helpful, take a moment to write this down. You're going to share your name, where you're zooming in from today, the level of leadership training program. So that would be foundation, core, plus, or plus plus, and your current leadership track. That would sound something like marketing, advanced marketing, professional, visionary. Gorgeous. Brianna, introduction and your ask.
Sure, Brianna, calling in from the Chicagoland area, HSL++, and then the Visionary Leadership track. So I have a client who I've worked with for years, and I would say that in the last year, my trust in her has been shaken dramatically. The organization that she works for has gone through a lot of organizational change. There's been a lot of layoffs that have been done. Just to kind of keep it short, last year she came to me and said, you and your team do too good of a job, that you make us look bad. And now she's been sort of lobbying to not have us do work in that organization. And yet she still reaches out with RFPs for us to respond to, and we still get hired by the team. But I just know everything that's happening behind the scenes, that my trust in her is very low these days. Yet I also have the perspective of I don't have to fully trust her to work with her. But at the same time, I don't love that too. So I don't really know what my ask is other than, I'm not interested in firing her as a client. But I guess should I be doing something more to rebuild the relationship or just accept it as it is and just proceed as I have been? I guess that's my asks from that perspective.
Yeah, this is awesome. This is an awesome ask in connection to the topic of making genuine connections through assumption of positive intent. I'll take a moment just to pause and remind all of us, right? We're always listening with 2 ears, using our HSP strength of deep listening as part of these roundtables. That one ear being like, oh, this is the particular situation for Brianna. And then the other ear is, oh, how can this be adapted to apply to me? So I love this scenario because without assumption of positive intent and without taking the approach of making genuine connections, it would be so easy to just write this person off.
Yeah.
And again, we all have someone in our business and our life who could fall into this type of category. And this type of person because your protective instinct, particularly as an HSP, is to distance. I'm not saying this is Brianna, but I'm saying this for all of us, right? If we're very honest with ourselves, right? We feel that initial instinct because this type of situation potentially presents conflict. This person is not necessarily easy to work with. This person has demonstrated that they can't necessarily be trusted. So my HSP shadow of overprotection says go the other way. What I so appreciate about Brianna's ask is that she's pausing, right? So going back to those 5 steps of accessing assumption of positive intent is she is pausing, she's taking a breath, and she's considering and exploring taking this to inquiry, even just by stepping forward with this ask. Now, there's no right or wrong or particular must-do action here, but there is an opportunity to slow the train down, change the breath pattern, change the thought pattern, change the reactive pattern. What I hear as possibilities is, specifically because Brianna shared, oh, I'm not necessarily willing to write this client off. Okay, that's clarity number 1. Clarity number 2 is then what if I use my privilege of agency to decide how I want to work with this client? So I could continue working with this client by just keeping this client at a distance, which would be basically going as things have been, as Brianna just described. Or if I am curious of what could possibly be revealed through using my HSP strengths and making genuine connection, I would be proactive and I would reach out to this person and I would make a genuine connection. Now, I see that we would actually use the 3 keys in opposite order for this type of this specific scenario. So you reach out, set up a time to connect. Start by giving a genuine compliment. Just wanted to connect with you. I really appreciate X, Y, and Z about the work that you do, the way that you work, these RFPs you keep sending our way, some type of genuine compliment. I wanted to connect with you today and then share a personal story about a successful client contract that had me thinking of you. And then ask an open-ended question. Could sound something like, I'm just curious because it seems as if there's this kind of hot, cold aspect of working with us. And I was just wondering, like, what would be an ideal support scenario for you? And how this person responds to those 3 keys, and especially by framing and leading up to that open-ended question, if nothing else, would give some really valuable information that Brianna can then use to be like, yeah, we're done here. Or, this is a door to keep open. Or possibility of a business miracle. Maybe something amazing will reveal itself. Maybe we learn that this person's been managing cancer for the last 9 months. God forbid, cancel, clear, delete. Or who knows? Something else that perhaps we are unaware of that has been influencing this kind of weird hot cold behavior. That's assumption of positive intent. What do you hear, Brianna?
Well, what I hear actually is that I don't want to know that. Which I think I need to sit with that, right? Like, so this person is part of one of our biggest business relationships. And she has the ear of one of the bigger influencers in that business relationship. And I know for a fact that she doesn't feel the same trust break in the way that I feel it because I've had conversations like what you're saying with her, but I haven't asked her pointedly about, kind of all of the lobbying that I know has happened behind the scenes and to kind of get the backstory of that. And in a way, like if I ask her that and I don't like the answer, then that puts our whole biggest relationship at jeopardy. So that's what I hear. And I as I'm expressing this, I know that I need to sit with this and better, sort of think through that. And I actually have a connection on the calendar with her on Monday for another project. And I can sort of think about, maybe what's the both and for, because I think the other thing that I got to be really careful about is that this is one person in a, just for for context for others, like my business relationships with an organization are not one person. Like this particular one, there's probably 40 different people I have a relationship with, right? And she has the ear of one of those additional folks. So I think that there's also like, I think, where my head goes when it's not in that assumption of positive intent is the opinion of the one is the opinion of the 40. And when I really realistically look at that, I know that that is so not true. And I have evidence to say it's not true. Like like immediately the ridiculousness of that statement is very in my face. But I think, I mean, we all go to that space of like, oh, everything's in Miss Drama mode, right? So, but I think like, yeah, I guess what I'm getting is I need to spend some more time really sitting with this.
I would highly recommend. One, because it showed itself to you as part of this training topic. So that's no coincidence or accident, right? Two, even with everything that you shared, there's an opportunity here. Either the opportunity is shift into acceptance, right? And then it releases any type of charge and it
Yeah.
just continues as is.
Yeah.
Or again, opening the door for just a further deeper approach of a genuine connection, which can potentially open up something that's positive, not necessarily immediately the negative, which is where the mind goes.
Right.
What's most of value is the pattern changes, right? So that you're free and the energy that has gone into this so far, which there is some, because again, it came to you as part of this training topic, can then just be redirected into something that is more available for productivity and focus. And that is all valuable, right? So assumption of positive intent is not just about a particular approach or outcome, but it is about what's happening within us internally and how the nervous system is being used. And that's super valuable.
I think that's really what I need to process because like where I am today on this compared to where I was like 6 months ago is so different. Like I'm definitely more in that acceptance space. I think it's, it came to me because I have this connection with her on the calendar for Monday, right? But I think what I need to do to process it is really process like what energetically am I holding on to related to this?
Yes.
And then I think through understanding that, then I'll know, either how to deal with this situation on Monday or, just, my next step will be revealed, I think, through looking at what energetically am I really holding on to right now.
Agreed. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And I'll just highlight it came to you because you have the call on the calendar for Monday, but it came to you because there's more beneath having the call on the calendar.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. No, having the call on the calendar is a trigger. So why is it a trigger? Right?
Yes. Yes. I'm also going to plant the seed for you, particularly Brianna, with a connection to our upcoming Quantum Leap retreat.
Awesome. Thank you.
Awesome. Welcome. Beautiful. So I'll take a breath in and let it out. And again, how does what I just witnessed apply to me? From there, let's go to Anne, an introduction and an ask.
I'm Ann Sinclair. I'm also in the Chicagoland area. I'm in HSL Plus in the marketing track. I think in listening to what you said to Brianna, you probably have answered my question already, but I have some client opportunities of people who do know me and have expressed an interest in finding out more. And yet I've been very hesitant / everything about calling them and starting the ball rolling business wise and not personal wise. I think from listening to what you said to Brianna about framing her talk with the person on Monday, that I can be more proactive in how to frame my talk how I start the talk. See, once I get going, I'm okay, but I can't, I don't really like phone calls to begin with, but just to even get going. And I think I need to have my questions and thoughts ready more so than I am. I think I do, but I can't get the first one. I can't decide on the first one or something like that. That's my issue.
Mhm. Well done. Excellent, Anne. First of all, I appreciate how both you and Brianna refer to your location as Chicagoland. It makes me think of like Candyland and like someplace magical. Oh, can we all go to Chicagoland? Second, well done listening to the mentor exchange with Brianna and then starting to see how that could apply for yourself. And what I'm hearing, although you didn't say this directly, is, oh, by using the 3 keys and in that opposite order, it can feel more genuine to start by giving a genuine compliment. Right? You know these people.
Mhm.
That's a way to open up and then to also share personally. I think we're talking about the same people we were talking about at the acceleration retreat. Am I correct? So
Yes.
you have someone in common, right? So you can start by even talking about that person, like sharing a story, like, oh, I'm so excited to connect with you. I remember when I taught so and loved this about her. And open-ended question. I also remember you had shared you were interested in. I just wanted to hear a little bit more about where you were at with that. And then from there, you can explore setting up an official P2P HSE selling conversation. I also want to plant the seed that if the phone truly is difficult, arrange to meet for tea or something else in person, since that's how this original conversation kind of materialized, right? You all were together in person.
Yes.
What are you hearing here, Anne?
I'm hearing that I'm on the right track. I like the question, where are you with that? On her, because I'm sure she has probably contemplated it since she said it out loud.
Mm-hmm.
I also like the idea, especially since we are close in area, because Chicagoland is magical, that meeting in person would probably be the best for me. And to get this kind of stuff rolling, I should probably pursue that instead of like a call or a Zoom thing or something.
Yes, do that. Yes, beautiful. So this again is a fantastic demonstration of using our HSP strengths to make genuine connections. We don't have to follow these rigid business formulas that don't necessarily feel like a fit to us, but find the adaptation, use the law of adaptation for what will support you in being in your ultimate strengths to both be able to be of service and move the business needle forward.
Mhm.
Gorgeous. Yes, amazing. Jennifer, intro and ask. 2.5 minutes or less.
Yeah. Jennifer Ricards, I'm zooming in from Oklahoma City, HSL++ self-care track. I think I have some hints of where to go with the shares, but I have a situation in the community where I live and HOA and things like that, where there's maybe this type of a conversation with one individual about how I can't contribute all the time just because I've got work and family and self-care things that are going on. And my question was more about how to have that conversation where you're open, but you're also maybe setting a boundary. Maybe I'm going too far. This is, I've had experience with this, but I keep getting 20 million texts about, please go list on the sign up what you're bringing to this event. And it's just not, and it's just constant.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I so appreciate this. Now the challenge is on me to respond in 2 minutes or less. I appreciate this because again, it really speaks to how assumption of positive intent is not subjugating your needs, right, is not about sympathy. So assumption of positive intent is the recognition of like, oh, this person's behavior isn't necessarily working for me, but they mean well. They're going about it in a way that doesn't necessarily match me, but ultimately I'm just going to assume that they want things to be well here for the HOA. So that's where you would lead from to make a genuine compliment, right? Which is like, I know you do such great work for the HOA. I know you want things to be well here for everyone. Please know that I share that same intent. I don't have the same accessibility that you do. Here's what I would be able to do. You could possibly then share a personal story about like, who knows, what you appreciate about the HOA, how you get things done in less time. And then if you're willing, you can say, you know, let me know how that sounds to you. Or not, you could drop the ask the open-ended question for this one.
I feel I've had those conversations, so I feel like, you know what I mean, where that's, I guess I wonder, like I've had, hey, I'm kind of busy with work, I can't do this, but I can donate, right? I can donate something, but I could bring this to the forum too, so I'm curious.
I would say then it's about a reminder.
Okay, yeah.
Take a breath in. Awesome. I think we're all back together. Hand on heart. For those who are in my round table, you can now let your breath out. Since I gave everyone the direction to take a breath in and we got, you know, just zoomed back into full community. But hand on heart, breath in and let it out. Amazing. So definitely what my roundtable revealed is how valuable it is to actually sink into considering assumption of positive intent and how that can play a role in genuine connections. As always, never tied up in a bow in one weekly training roundtable, which leads us to bring it to the forum. Yes, right? Share what stood out to you. And this is why, and this is the action that you'll take. And if you're working with a 4Q intuitive plan, how it connects to that. To keep the process in motion, which is how then we develop new HSP leadership habits versus just defaulting to the ways of the shadows and the coping mechanisms will continue to show themselves. And that is the power of retraining. That is the power of highly sensitive leadership training. Amazing. Keep it going, stay connected, including Afterglow right here and now, sharing in the chat. Otherwise, see you in all the ways that I will see you, and I'm giving you so many blessings and wishes for business miracles with genuine connections and in all ways between now and next week's training roundtable. Until then.